Hello, everyone. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is your Weekly Dose of Wicked.
What's kicking, little chickens?
I liked that. That was a good intro, Ash. Good job.
Thank you. I thought so.
Oh, man. That was good. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday.
Wicked Wednesdays.
It is indeed. So what do we got going on in the world of Weekly Dose of Wicked?
Oh, I don't think there's anything new. Just the same old, same old. What is that, Sierra?
If you haven't done so yet, check out our Patreon, man.
It is poppin'.
Pop in, for sure. It's where you party hardy.
My lip gloss be poppin'. My lip gloss be cool.
My lip gloss be cool. All the boys keep chopping. Stopping.
Chopping what?
They chased me after school. What you know about me? What you know about me? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so anyway, Patreon's where it's at, guys. We now have 4 tiers. Got the Slightly Wicked. That's only $3 a month. It's essentially like 70 cents an episode, if that's something you guys can do over the course of a year. So we'd really appreciate it. If you're feeling more generous than that, then we've got other tiers. But you know, I mean, $3. What's $3 a month, really?
Nothing.
I mean, if we could get 10 of you to do that, that's $30 though. So you know, there's that.
That'd be cool.
That'd be the business. What else we got going on? Ratings and reviews. Head on over to Apple Podcasts. Oh, you know what? We do have exciting news. First of all, head on over to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a rating and review. In other news, according to Listen Notes, which uses analytics, we're one of the top 5% of podcasts in the globe.
Take that.
So yeah, just saying.
Armchair athletes.
Don't bring up other podcasts, Ashley, even though that's not the name of the other podcast.
Yeah, take that out.
That's not the name of the podcast. I feel like we could leave it in there. Our dad is very passionate about our podcast, so he was quite upset when we moved ranks in, and the Armchair Athletes took over.
And they didn't even take over; they just went one spot ahead of us.
Yeah, they just moved a spot ahead of us. But he was like, "Your podcast way better. You guys should be famous." Thanks, Dad. I'm glad you think we should be famous.
You're the only one that matters.
For sure. What other exciting stuff we got going on? Should we tell them about our exciting Christmas stuff coming on? Or no? Just tell them we have a special treat for them?
Just tell them we got a special taste.
A special taste? What is a special taste?
I don't know. I was
Are you
think
drunk?
Of a word. No, I'm not. I'm tired as shit. I've been up since 5. It's at midnight. And you're eating, and now I'm hungry.
It's just a little bugle.
Yeah, a little taste. I'm going to need you to quit that.
Okay, I'll stop. We have something in the works for you guys for the month of December, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be super cool.
We're also talking about possibly advertising it, so maybe we can get some other people in here to listen to it, but we'll see if that happens. It'll all depend on the Patreon support, if we can afford that or not, because ads are expensive, guys.
Super expensive.
I didn't realize how expensive it was to advertise.
I thought it was just like free.
I didn't think it was free.
I didn't think it was free either. But I didn't think it was as pricey as it is.
Anyway, that's going to be coming up soon. We have our beautiful, handsome father is going to record that intro for that special December episode on Sunday.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Talk him into it.
He said he would. He said if I wrote it down, he would record it on Sunday.
We'll see.
He has a missed calling as a singer. That's what he thinks.
No, I think he's probably better than we are. We're terrible singers.
He's funny. But anyway, so that's going on. We talked about Patreon. We talked about ratings and reviews. If you haven't already, find us on Facebook and Instagram. Like and follow us there so you can stay up to date with all of the news. Also, you guys should be on Instagram because it's November 9th, which means we've posted some funny pictures on Instagram.
Yes. You need to see those.
At this point, we've posted pictures of my bad bangs. We've also posted pictures of Halloween 1998.
Those good pictures.
For sure. So anyway, that being said, I think we're good to move on into the case, Ash.
I think so. Alrighty, well, buckle your seatbelt. I didn't hear the sound effect. Still didn't hear it.
Because I need a new king mic. You're not going to hear it. It's because my mic's trash.
Yeah, Kind of. Okay, anyway, so
Okay.
we've buckled our seatbelts. So anyways, so the date is February 5th, 2010. We're in Niles, Michigan.
I don't like that.
Why?
That wasn't that long ago.
I mean, it was 12 years ago.
Ashley, I was graduating high school that year. It wasn't that long ago.
Well, it was 12 years. You're old. Put the bugles down.
I pulled at Ashley and I flipped you off in the camera.
Yeah.
How'd you
I
like
saw.
that?
I didn't really care, but put the bugles down.
Okay.
Just because you go off the screen to eat the bugle doesn't mean I can't see you. Anyways, February 5th, 2010, Niles, Michigan. Around 12:50 p.m., John Tarwacki Sr. called 911 to report that his son and daughter-in-law were dead in their home and had been shot.
I don't like that.
Me either. When asked if the assailant was still in the home, he responded, "There's no suspect. Their door was open and I walked in the house and they'd been shot." When first responders arrived on the scene, they confirmed that both John and Carolyn Tarwacki were deceased. John Tarwacki, 42, was found laying face down in the hallway with 2 gunshot wounds and 10 stab wounds.
That's some overkill.
Yeah, just a little. He was shot once in the jaw and once in the chest. They believe that his gunshots were the cause of the death. Carolyn Tarwacki, 39, was found laying on her back with 2 gunshot wounds, 4 stab wounds, and was severely beaten. So, some more overkill.
Yeah, for sure. Just a smidge.
One of the stab wounds severed her aorta, which was her cause of death. The local police knew that they would be in over their heads, so they immediately called in the state police to assist them.
That's a good call.
Very good call. That was one of the first things they did.
I like it when local police are not so conceited and like big-headed that they realize like, oh, we can't handle this.
Right. Nope. So they called for help. So
good job.
That was good. Good on them. So because of the brutality of the crime, the police immediately believed that the suspect was someone that they knew and it was personal. While they were looking through the house, they found the dog. His name was Wrigley. He was a 200-pound mastiff. He was locked in the laundry room unharmed. So this also backed up their theory of a familiar, I put assassin.
A familiar assassin?
Yeah. That's not what I meant. Assailant. As Wrigley was, I put again, 200-pound mastiff. I don't know. Maybe I was also drunk when I wrote this. I don't know.
It's possible. You do get drunk a lot. You're kind of a little boozy.
No, I wrote this at work, so I must have just been distracted.
Okay.
So he felt threatened. So if he felt threatened that the suspect was there, there would have been evidence that he fought back the dog. So they thought that they must have known whoever this person was came into their home. The crime scene also made the cops believe that this was a surprise attack from the positioning of the bodies. It seemed that they just dropped wherever they were. It didn't appear that their belongings had been touched. Electronics, cash, Carolyn's purse, both of their cell phones, jewelry, and other valuables were untouched. When looking through the crime scene, they found a knife was missing from the knife block in the kitchen. Police searched the home, but they didn't find the missing knife anywhere, so they assumed that this was one of the murderers.
Can I just tell you how ballsy that is?
Yes.
Like, I can't stand a murder that involves a murder weapon found in the home. Like, you've got to be a ballsy mother effer to break into someone's home with no weapon.
Well, there was also gunshots, so he had a gun.
Okay.
But still,
I forgot about the gunshots. Either way, I mean, honestly, people that break into houses in the dead of night or any time of day, honestly, are the most terrifying. Because, like, you don't know what's behind that door.
Well, it wasn't the dead of night. It was the dead of the day.
Okay, but I'm just saying, that's why I said or any time.
Right.
But, like, you got to be ballsy.
Right.
You don't know what's behind that door. You might open that door, there'd be a shotgun in your face. But you don't care. You do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's a 200-pound dog.
Right. They don't even care. Like, terrifying. That terrifies me.
Yeah. People that do that, they are some scary people.
Mm-hmm. The worst.
One bullet casing was found at the scene. So the second murder weapon was determined to be a .32 caliber revolver. There was no forced entry. So again, it helped the theory that the suspect was someone that they knew. It was determined that the suspect entered and exited through the back door. It was February in Michigan, so there was snow on the ground. There were 2 sets of footprints, one going toward and one leaving the back door. Next to these footprints were also 6 drops of blood. With these new findings, they called in more recruitments, the Cass County Major Crime Unit. The Major Crime Unit immediately examined the footprints and made molds of them. From the footprints, they determined that the strides were different in the two separate tracks. The ones entering the house were at a normal pace, but the one exiting the house were running. They knew this because when you run, your strides are longer, so that your
Well, no
footprints are farther
shit.
apart.
Homeboy just shot and stabbed people. I would assume he'd be running.
Well, I mean, yeah, you would assume so, but
I'd be more concerned if he was just leisurely walking.
I mean, yeah, me too, but I'm just saying.
That'd be like signs of a freaking sociopath if he's just like, oh, going on a nice little walk.
Well, you never know. The footprints in the snow also gave the police an estimate of the suspect's height from the stride length and their approximate weight from how deep each depression was in the snow, which I think is really freaking cool. From footprints in the snow, they got a physical description on a person.
I suppose. I mean, Dad's Samsung watch can tell his weight just by sending electromagnetics through his body.
Okay, but this is 2010. This is 12 years ago.
I don't feel like 2010 was that long ago.
Okay, I mean, we didn't have Samsung watches in 2010.
I mean, have we come that far in 12 years?
I mean, everybody didn't wear an Apple Watch or a Samsung watch in 2010. So.
True, I guess. I just like to think that 2010 was like yesterday.
Well, it wasn't. It was 12 years ago. So.
Okay. Thank you for making me feel old.
You're welcome. Anytime. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I guess you don't. So anyways, the footprints leading away from the house go out the back door and towards the main road and stop at a fence. So the suspect ran out of the house, jumped the fence, and then they believe he got into a getaway car. Next to the footprints in the snow was a strand of hair. Testing was ran on the hair, and it was determined to belong to a female child.
A female child?
Yes.
Why was there a child at a murder scene?
I don't know.
I don't like that.
The blood was tested that was on the ground, and all of the 6 drops were all Carolyn's. The time of death was determined to be between 6:50 and 7:50 a.m. You're just making faces and eating bugles. Stop. Stop eating bugles.
I literally have 3 bugles left and then the bag's gone.
Okay, well, hurry up and eat them. You annoy me when you eat when I'm trying to tell you a story, because then you just make faces.
I mute myself.
Exactly, you mute yourself. So then by the time you unmute yourself, I've already moved on to the next sentence, so then you don't say anything. I don't eat when you podcast either.
I'm sorry. I don't like that time of death.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of early morning times of death. Because I am... Don't laugh at me.
I don't like that because it's too early. No, not for me. If you're going to kill me, wait until the afternoon, please.
No. I don't like that because I'm a super paranoid person.
Yeah.
And there's many nights when I stay up until like 3, 4 in the morning with no problem. And the reasoning for that is because sometimes I may be a little, I don't want to say scared. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Like there's some nights when I stay up till like 3 or 4 in the morning and then I think to myself like, it's safe for me to go to bed now. The likelihood of someone breaking in and killing me is very unlikely because Jacob gets up for work in 2 hours.
Right.
But then like, you're like, oh yeah, 6 in the morning. People are killing people at 6 in the morning?
Yeah. Well, it's 6:50 to 7:50.
Okay, but still, that's still super early to be like on a murder spree.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't like that.
Me either.
Like the 2 a.m. ones, I'm like, okay, they never went to bed. But like 6 a.m., you had to get up real early to be killing someone at 7 in the morning.
No, I think this guy didn't go to bed.
Okay.
So anyways, police began questioning neighbors, family, friends, and they found some things out about Carolyn and John. So Carolyn and John have been married for just 3 years.
Were they swingers?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean anything like bad. Like they found out things about them.
You said they found out some things. So I was like, oh, did they have a pineapple on their front door?
That did sound suspicious, but no. No, they found out normal things about them. Carolyn and John have been married for 3 years.
Okay.
John had 2 previous marriages and was retired from the Navy where he was a nuclear-powered submarine engineer.
Red flag. 2 divorces?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, John, I see you.
He also had 3 grown adult children from his previous marriages.
Okay.
John was known to have a great sense of and love to have fun. They both worked at a music store named Quinlan and Fabish Music Company. That's where they met. It was a store that rented and serviced instruments to schools and other institutions. They were both musicians and loved music and the arts. They worked together to teach and create music in their free time. And their whole life really just seemed to revolve around music. They worked at a music store. They spent their free time making music, teaching people music. They just loved it. They're both super sweet people who gave to their community. A random fact that has nothing to do with the case really, but I found it and I thought it was cute, was they dressed up as Santa and Mrs. Claus every year for Christmas. Every year. They'd only been together for 3 years, or married for 3 years. I don't know how long they'd been together, but I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, that is cute.
Carolyn was a beloved music teacher in the community. She taught in her free time. She played many instruments, including the euphonium. Do you know what that is?
No idea.
I'd never heard of a euphonium, but it's a brass instrument. It's like a tuba, but it plays higher notes than a tuba.
Interesting.
I just thought it was funny because that's a funny name. Euphonium.
Okay. I feel like euphonium players probably don't agree that the name's funny.
I mean, I don't know. Probably not. She was described as caring and generous to everyone she met. She spent pretty much all of her free time teaching and sharing her love of music to kids in the community. They just lived a super, normal, under-the-radar lifestyle. They didn't do anything, really, that would have a target for such a brutal crime. They took in Carolyn's teenage nephew, Keelan, I think is how you say it. Kelan, I think it's Keelan. Carolyn's sister, Katie, had recently remarried, and Keelan didn't get along with his stepdad. So Katie chose her husband's side, and they decided that it would just be best for Keelan to move out and move in with Carolyn and John.
How old did you say Keelan was?
He's 16. I don't think I said that, but
okay,
pretty crazy.
I really hate that.
Yeah. I don't understand why. Well, it would just be best if you just moved out. Go live with your aunt.
I just really hate when parents don't take their children's side over. I understand you might be lonely, you want another, significant other, but your kids should always come first.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Okay.
So once Keelan moved in with Carolyn and John, he was really thriving. He was just living his best life with his aunt. He seemed to be happier. He was enjoying life more. He was planning for his future. He was excelling in school. All the things that he was not doing before living at home.
Well, maybe it was for the best then.
I really think it was. He loved living with his aunt. He said that she would just do anything for him, that she was that way with everyone, and she just made his life better.
Good. I like that. I'm happy for him then.
Once the police found out about Keelan, they immediately went to his school to see if he was okay. They weren't sure if he'd been endangered in the attack, if he was missing, if somehow he was involved. So they got to his school and he was in class. They pulled him out and brought him to the police station for questioning. He wasn't hurt, so they immediately thought that he was involved and treated him as a suspect.
Well, that's some bull squash.
Agreed.
I can't imagine that he was involved. I mean, I could be wrong, but...
You're not.
I'm not wrong?
No, he's not.
Okay, good. The way you paused made me think that I was wrong. I was about to be really sad.
Well, I was debating if I was going to tell you or not, but then I just decided
I was about to be really sad.
No, he was not involved. So they treated him like a suspect, but when they told him why he was there, it was because his aunt and her husband were murdered. He reacted like he was hearing it for the first time and was very emotional. He seemed to be kind of troubled, and there was no forced entry, so he was really their top suspect. I also think it was kind of crazy. They didn't have an adult with him during his questioning.
Yeah, that sounds illegal to me.
Yeah.
I mean, did he have an adult? Did he have anyone to be with him though? Because his mom. I mean, where was she?
I didn't see exactly where she lived, but she came in to be questioned, so she couldn't have lived that far.
So do you think that was just an oversight, or?
I mean, yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they did it intentionally, or if it was malicious, or if it was an oversight. I don't know. But his grandmother lived in town, or his grandparents. His grandpa is the one who found them.
Right.
Are you eating something else?
No.
Yes, you are. Sierra, stop.
I'm not eating anything.
You are.
I was just sniffing something.
No, you're not. I see a spoon in your hand.
I am just letting it thaw while you tell the rest of the story, because by the time you're done with the story, it'll be thawed.
You're really annoying.
I'm not eating it. I was just letting it thaw. It's hard as a rock. You don't have to worry about me.
Anyways.
How old was the grandpa? Do you know?
No.
I think it's really sad. Because you said his kid was 49. His son was 49. So he's probably an 80-year-old little man.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Probably in his 70s or 80s.
Hate it.
Keelan's grandmother and Carolyn's mom, Sharon Knight, says that morning she talked on the phone with Carolyn. Then Keelan came over to her house before school. Sharon lived only 2 houses down from Carolyn, so she could have been there for the questioning. But anyways, so real close.
So they were awake. Like, it's not like they were in bed sleeping.
No, they were like up getting ready for the day to go to work.
Hate that. Hate it.
So I think I actually left that out. I think I meant to put that at the beginning, or maybe I put it somewhere else in here. I'm not sure. But anyways, they didn't show up to work.
Right.
And that's like why it took like so long for the dad to go over there and find them, because they didn't show up to work. So like called them and was like, hey, have you heard from them? So he called them around like that 12:50, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And they were killed around 7 or 8.
Good thing that Keelan was at school then.
Yeah. So she says that Keelan caught the bus around 6:30, and then he should have been in school all day after that. The school verifies this information and gives Keelan an alibi.
So as I thought, he didn't do it.
You were correct. The police also compared the footprints found at the scene to Keelan's, and it wasn't a match.
I didn't think it would be.
So with those 2 things, it cleared him as a suspect. They asked him if he knew of anyone who would them, and he said that he didn't. No one would have wanted to hurt them. Everyone loved them. They were some of the most adored residents of their small town.
Do you think that's true?
I don't know.
I feel like every time we have a case, it's like everyone loved them. They had a beautiful smile. They lit up a room.
I don't know.
I just want to know if it's true or not. Like, how often is that true, and how often is it just feeling sad because they're gone?
Yeah, I don't know. What are you going to say about me if I get murdered?
I'm going to say she was kind of awkward. When she entered a room, no one noticed.
Everyone noticed because she hid into things as she came in.
I don't know what I'm going to say. I just always wonder if it's like, do we really just have like a whole bunch of like awesome, amazing people getting murdered? Or is it just the stigma when someone gets murdered to like...
You're frozen. I didn't hear that.
Am I still frozen?
No, I can see you eating your ice cream now.
I don't know what I said. I said I just wonder if like we're actually losing like the best people in the world. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't good people, because they probably were, but I don't know. I feel like every time we have a case, it's like, they were amazing. They lit up a room. Their smile was the intensity of 1,000 suns. Yeah. But like, were they actually that awesome, or do people just feel bad? Because like when I die, my obituary better read like she was kind of a bitch, but we love her anyway.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to write.
I just wondered.
So Niles, Michigan was a small town where everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew everyone.
It always is.
Always. So it was located about 20 miles from Lake Michigan. It was pretty small. I looked up the population. It's about 11,000. So not super small, but
decent sized.
Smallish. Okay. So it was one of those cute towns that had parades and apple festivals. It was a farming town, and it had a really cute like downtown area. Looked up pictures of it.
My favorite kind of town.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like, that like that typical like Stars Hollow town.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
So, super cute. The police continued to talk with neighbors, hoping someone would have seen or heard something, but pretty much everyone said that they saw and heard nothing. It was a typical quiet morning with nothing out of the usual. One neighbor, Linda Hawks, did say that she saw, while she was getting ready for the day, a man running down the road in dark pants, a dark hoodie with the hood up, and boots around 7:45. She describes a tall, thin, white male. She remembers that she thought it was really odd that he was running down the road in boots. And her description matches what they know so far with his body type and what they gathered from the footprints in the snow and the time of death.
So probably the murderer running down the street like a freak.
Most likely.
Okay. Don't love that.
No. Police questioned Carolyn's sister, Katie.
Keelan's mom?
Yes, Keelan's mom. So they learned that Katie and Carolyn didn't really get along, like at all.
Nothing like
when they told... No, we're best friends. But these sisters were not.
Okay.
When they told Katie of her sister's death, she didn't show much emotion, and it was almost like she didn't really care. What? She even said, "I won't miss my sister, but I didn't kill her."
What a bitch.
That was a quote from her. So, nice lady.
What a bitch.
Really feeling the love there. So, while talking with Katie, they found out that Carolyn and John had started the process of getting custody of Keelan.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say a divorce.
No.
I was like,
No, they were a perfect little couple. They'd only been together for 3 years, and they were perfect.
I know they were, but you had me scared.
Nope, custody of Keelan, so good thing. So at first, Katie was on board. She agreed with it, but then she changed her mind. So Katie seemed to have some bad feelings towards her sister because she was continuing the process, even though Katie changed her mind.
Well, because Katie's a fucking trash bag.
Yeah.
Who picked her new husband over her son. So yeah.
Yeah, she kind of sucks. And she said that she wouldn't miss her sister.
I would hope that if I got divorced and I picked a new husband over my children, and I was like, oh, you guys don't like my new husband? Go live with your Auntie Ash, that you would take custody of my kids and put me in a dumpster.
That's exactly what I would do. So Katie's husband, David, matched the description of a man running down the road. He was tall, thin, white male.
So he doesn't like Keelan, but he can kill the siblings so they don't get fucking custody of him? What the hell, Ashley? What kind of whacked freaking case is this?
What kind of whacked case is this?
I'm mad right now. I'm actually angry.
Well, just calm down and listen to me. Eat your ice cream and listen.
For anyone that cares, I'm eating Little Debbie Pumpkin Delights ice cream.
No one cares.
They do. They know how much I love Pumpkin Delights.
You do.
We talked about it. When I found this today, I was in heaven. I got this for myself, and I got Jacob the Christmas tree.
The trees. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's delicious. You can have some tomorrow when you come.
Okay, I'm going to. You better not eat it all tonight.
Getting kind of low. It's only a little tiny pint.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm upset that you didn't buy me any. You know, when I find things that I think you would like, I buy it for you.
I'll go back first.
The fall gnome. I bought you a big fall gnome, but did you buy me a mini fall gnome? No, you didn't.
I didn't know you wanted one.
Anyways, doesn't matter. Katie and David became suspects. However, they both had an alibi. Katie was a school bus driver and was driving her route at the time of the day. David was at work at the time of the murder. His time card says that he worked from 6:57 to 11:02 a.m. His boss verified this and says that there was no way that he could have left work without them knowing. There were cameras that he was seen on multiple times, and there was also a palm reader at his work. So I don't know what kind of work he does, but sounds kind of fancy and important.
I don't buy it.
Okay. Well, there's no evidence against them. So they remain suspects, but they can't keep them on anything. So the investigators think that maybe they weren't involved directly, but maybe they hired someone else to do it for them. They're still kind of thinking that it's about the custody issue.
Quite possible, but did they have money for that? Because I think hiring a hitman's expensive.
Well, they looked at their bank accounts, and they did find a large sum of money posted to their account recently, about $20,000.
That was taken out or added to?
No, added to. And then a couple days later, $15,000 was taken out.
Where in the hell did they get $20,000?
Well, turns out a barn caught on fire at their house. So it was the insurance money.
Did it catch on fire or was it lit on fire?
I think it caught on fire. I don't think there was anything suspicious. It was like their insurance money going into the bank, and then the money going out of the bank was to rebuild the barn. And they did rebuild the barn.
Okay, I was going to say, did they rebuild the barn or?
No, they did. Both Katie and David took polygraphs and passed them.
Doesn't mean shit.
Well, I know, but with everything else, I guess it does a little bit.
No.
So they think now that it's very unlikely that they were involved, so they focus a little less on them. But the town is really on edge. They're thinking it was just, what is it? Is it a random act of violence? Is there a serial killer starting? Town is just not happy.
I imagine they are.
No. 2 months pass, and there's still nothing going on in the case. There's a lot of rumors going around of what happened. You know, Small town life, that's what you do, you gossip.
Mm-hmm.
But the police released really little information to the public. They kept everything really close-knit, so all the public knew was that these two people were shot and killed in their home, but that's all they knew. Everything else they kept to themselves. So because they didn't know a lot, there were some crazy theories going on, but most of which was everybody was pointing their fingers at Keelan. A lot of people thought that he did it.
No.
Yeah. No, not Keelan. He's sweet. I like him.
Freaking idiots.
But I guess when the police came and took him out of school, they made like kind of a big deal about it, like pulled him out in front of all of his peers. So you know how rumors go.
Oh, I know. In 2010, I was in high school. I'm aware.
Yeah. Yeah, so kids suck and they talk. And so a lot of people are thinking Keelan did it, but we know Keelan is sweet and he did not.
Yeah, we know that.
So he moved in with his grandma. In April, Sharon went over to her daughter's house for the first time since the murders to go through and clean it out to get ready to sell it. She was cleaning out the fridge and the freezer, and in the back of the freezer, there was a bloody knife.
In the house? And the fucking detectives didn't find it?
Nope.
What the hell?
So she calls the police, and they come to gather the evidence. They say that they just really missed it, and they feel like idiots, and they're sorry.
They should.
They should feel like idiots, yes. But also, like, are you really going to look for it in the freezer? I mean, I guess they should be looking everywhere, but, like, it's a pretty weird place to put a knife.
If two people were murdered in the morning, in the daylight, I think you should check the whole fucking house.
I mean, yeah, probably, but I'm just saying. I feel like
including
I
the
could
freezer.
see how they would miss the freezer.
Okay.
So because of the knife in the freezer, they think the killer maybe wasn't thinking clearly. So they don't think that this was a planned attack. They think maybe it was either like a crime of convenience or a robbery gone wrong, but nothing was taken. After testing the knife, they determined that it was one of the murder weapons. There was blood found on it that was Carolyn and John's, but Carolyn and John's DNA was the only DNA found on the knife. The knife did match the knife that was missing from the knife block, so it was in fact the one from their home.
Mm-hmm.
Police believe that the suspect shot Carolyn and John and then stabbed them to ensure that they were dead. Carolyn was attacked first since her blood was carried over to John's body, and even though they now have one of the murder weapons, they still are no closer to solving the case. For the next 2 years, they continue to investigate, tracking down all leads, but they have nothing new to go off of. They're getting nowhere. Also, I'm sorry that I suck, but I just realized that I never told you about the hair that was found.
The
It
kids'
was
hair?
a child's hair, and you were like, I don't like that. So it was actually nothing. It was actually just like, they believed it was one of her like music students because she taught music at her house.
Oh, okay.
So I apparently didn't write that in here anywhere, but that is what the hair was. So
okay, well that's good because I didn't like the kids' hair. I thought that like somebody really brought their kid.
yeah, no, the kid had nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
It just happened to be a child's hair.
Okay. I can live with that then.
So anyway, yes. So in January of 2012, there had been no new tips for 6 months. But there was an unrelated traffic stop.
Good.
Her name was Jill Fricks.
Her name?
Yes, that was stopped.
Okay.
The traffic stop. Jill Fricks. I believe this is how you say her last name. Anyways, Jill ran a stop sign and is pulled over.
Okay.
And she's just like super nervous acting, throwing up all kinds of red flags. They're not liking it. And she tells the cops that she knows who killed the Tarwackis.
They just pull her over and she's like, I know who killed the Tarwackis.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
They pulled her over and she's like, oh no, cops. Let me tell you everything I know.
Okay.
So why it took her 2 years to finally tell them, I don't understand.
Because she'd never been in trouble before then with the cops, so she didn't have any reason to use that leverage, I guess.
But if she ran a stop sign, it wasn't like...
Right? But I don't know. I mean, it's not like she just got caught, like, dealing heroin. I don't know.
Right, and was like, okay, so I understand that I'm in trouble, but...
Right.
If you cut me a deal... Like, I don't understand. But anyways, so... She interacts with the cops and she tells them that she knows. She says that it was Keith Lentz. He was 28. And he was a neighbor of the Tarwackis. He lived with his mother about 1 mile away. Keith was known around town as Trouble for his drug use. The police talked to Keith early on. They just thought that they just talked to him like as a neighbor, trying to get some general information about what he may have saw, things about the Tarwackis. And he gave them no reason to suspect him, and he was never really formally questioned.
Okay.
Jill says that she was living with Keith's cousin at the time of the murders, and one day Keith showed up there with a gun, and she says that gun was a revolver. She says that he showed up going on about some footprints that he left behind, and he was kind of freaking out.
Okay.
But Jill says that he did a lot of drugs, and he was always talking crazy and telling wild stories, so she didn't really think much of it at the time. But within the next 2 years, she would hear from many of his family and friends the same stories. So she gives the cops the names of 3 other people that she says will all corroborate this story, and they have all heard Keith talk and brag about his killing of the Tarwackis. So they go to question Keith, but he's already in jail on a DWI charge in Tennessee. Of course, he denies he had anything to do with it. He says that he has an alibi. He was sleeping.
Okay.
Terrible alibi.
I mean, I guess that was Gary Thibodeau's alibi too. It put him behind bars, so.
Yeah, terrible alibi. So he says that he didn't even get woken up by the sirens, and his mom, who lived with him, says that on the couch when she left for work at 6:25 a.m.
She said what?
He was sleeping on the couch.
Okay.
When she left for work. And then his mom says that the next time that she saw him was around 8 p.m. that day when she got home from work. His brother also lived with them. He says that Keith was sleeping on the couch, but that Brian, I think was his name. I didn't write this in there. But the brother, I believe his name is Brian. He didn't wake up until 9 or 10. So he says that he was sleeping when he woke up, but it wasn't until 9 or 10.
Okay.
And then after that, they went to a friend's house, hung out, and drank beer all day. So that doesn't really give him an alibi that he says he has, because none of them can actually account for the time that they were murdered.
Right.
From 6:50 to 7:50.
Right.
And also, what a douchebag. He kills these people and then goes and hangs out with his brother and drinks beer all day.
Yeah. Pretty much.
He sucks. Both his mom and his brother state that he wasn't wearing black clothes when they saw him, and that he was wearing his work uniform. But he didn't actually work that day. So why he was in his work clothes, don't know.
Did he work the day before?
Maybe.
Like, maybe he fell asleep in them.
No, maybe. I guess that's possible. His physical appearance and his shoe size matches what they believe the suspect has. He also had pit bulls, so he was good with dogs. So it would make sense that he didn't have a problem with the Mastiff.
Right.
Once the first 4 people came forward, 3 more people came forward to say that he also bragged to them about killing the Tarwackis. They know information about the case that the police haven't released to the public. They know that Carolyn was beaten and that both Carolyn and John were stabbed, which is something the police never told anyone. So because of this, the police know that Keith is guilty. They give him 2 polygraphs and he fails.
He said, and he fails them?
Yeah, he fails both of them.
Okay, like glitched out.
My favorite thing, a jailhouse snitch comes into the picture.
I know how much you love those.
He comes forward to say that he previously shared a cell with Keith and that Keith confessed to him that he murdered the Tarwackis. The police put a lot of faith in this jailhouse snitch. They put him back in jail and made him Keith's new cellmate and made him wear a wire. And again, Keith confessed everything to him. The jailhouse snitch says that he's not really sure if he was actually in him. He was just rambling to himself. But either way, he just told the whole story of what happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like a back and forth conversation. It was just him talking the whole time.
Right.
Keith says that he was high on meth and the back door was unlocked. So he went in to rob them, hoping to score some money for drugs. However, Carolyn and John were home, so he had no choice but to murder them. I disagree with that statement. I don't think he had no choice.
No, I don't think that he had no choice either. I mean, you always have a choice, especially when it comes to murder.
He could have, went to jail for robbery. I feel like that would have been a much better ending than going to jail for murder.
I agree. Or he could have just not been robbing them.
Well, yeah, but if he was going to rob them, just rob them and move on with your life.
Right.
But he didn't even successfully rob them. Again, it's the same thing as Katie.
Yeah.
How are you going to rob someone and then not finish through?
Right. Especially since you freaking killed him. Like, at least have the fucking decency to finish up with your job.
Yeah. Assholes.
Yeah.
The jailhouse snitch asked for nothing in return for helping out the cops. He was just trying to help. He said that he'd done enough bad things in his life. He could at least help with one good thing. So
That's
I thought
interesting.
that was, good. I'm not really a fan of the jailhouse snitches, but this one seemed to actually be pretty good.
That's
Other
interesting.
than whatever he was in jail for. I don't know.
Especially considering, like, he went back to jail to help them out.
Right.
Like, that's some dedication right there.
I don't know if, like, he was already in jail and, like, he was in a different jail and they transferred him, or if he, like, full on went back to jail. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But either way, they moved him into a cell with Keith to share a cell.
Right. Okay.
So Keith was charged with first-degree murder, and his trial was September 6, 2013. Their case was mainly based on circumstantial evidence and testimony. The only physical evidence they had were the shoe print in the snow that matched Keith's. There were 7 unrelated witnesses from different states and friend groups who all told the same story, that Keith talked and bragged to them about killing the Tarwackis. I don't understand how there were 7 people and it took like 2.5 years for any of them to come forward.
Right. Well, because people are trash.
Like, I don't get that at all.
Because people are trash.
I mean, they are, but like, if you know someone killed someone, go to the cops. And it's not like it was like, oh, his brother. Like, I could see maybe like a brother or a parent,
Right.
or like a super close friend not going to the police. But 7 people, and one of them was his cousin's girlfriend.
Well, it's just like in Heidi Allen when, who was it? Jennifer Westcott knew
Yeah.
stuff, and she was like, it's not my job to do their job for them. Like, people are just honestly, like, people don't even surprise me anymore.
No,
with the, like, lack of caring that they have.
I guess they don't really surprise me either. It just, like, breaks my heart how much the world sucks.
Yeah. I agree.
So, Keith showed no emotion during the trial, and within 3 hours of deliberation, the jury came back with a guilty verdict. Keith Lentz received 2 years for felony firearm charges and 2 life sentences for first-degree premeditated murder without parole. He is currently being held in Carson City Correctional Facility. He did try to appeal twice, and both times it was denied. That is all.
Where did you find that case?
The good old Google.
You just Googled crazy crackheads that murder people?
Murder comes to town.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Why?
I just figured it was one of your crazy shows. I actually tried to watch Murder Comes to Town the other day. I did not like it. I was not a fan.
Really?
No. Too slow for my liking.
It is kind of slow.
Not enough action. Well, I'm glad that they found the person that did it, but I don't know. What a trash bag.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a reason. Just a junkie looking for a fix.
Most of the time they are.
Hate it.
Yeah, he sucks. But most of the people in that case sucked, so.
Yeah. Really thought it was the sister and her husband. Kind of disappointed.
Yeah. It did kind of sound like it was going to be them, but it was not.
It did. But that's a pretty interesting case, though.
Well, thanks.
Definitely makes me uncomfortable for my thinking that I'm safe at 6:50 to 7:50 a.m.
Yeah, especially since he was just like a random dude.
Right. Like, what the heck? He just like came in, like, was the door unlocked? He just like opened the door?
Yeah.
Did he know they were there?
No, that's why he killed him, because he thought they would already be gone, like when he came to rob him.
Were their cars not in the driveway?
I mean, I would assume they were. But he also came in through the back door, so maybe like he didn't see the cars.
Maybe
he came from the back.
Maybe. I don't like that.
And I mean, he was their neighbor. He lived a mile down the road, so maybe like he knew like they're normally at work at this time.
I mean, maybe.
I do remember reading in like one of the things that Carolyn was having like computer trouble that morning. Like she was trying to do something on her computer and her computer wasn't working. So maybe that like delayed her like maybe she was supposed to be to work a little earlier.
Yeah, maybe.
She's gonna get her to commute her to work, so and they worked at the same job, so like obviously they would have.
Right, they would have went in together.
So
yeah, I don't know. Wasn't a fan of that.
so he was just high on meth and needed to get some money.
So do you think that his mom was telling the truth when she said he was sleeping when she left for work?
I don't know, because I feel like he was high on meth, so he'd be like awake all.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't see murdering someone and then going to sleep, but like if his brother woke up at 9 or 10 and he was sleeping, if he'd been up all night, he could have crashed.
Right.
I have a lot of questions.
But also, like, I feel like if he got up at, like, his mom said he was sleeping at 6:25.
Right.
So he could have got up at 6:30 and done some meth. But then I feel like he wouldn't have been back to sleep at 9 o'clock.
Right. Like one of them has to be covering for him because I don't see how he would have like gotten up at whatever 6:45, shot up some meth. Do you shoot up meth?
I thought you smoked meth, but I don't know.
Okay, possibly smoked some meth, and then I feel like he'd be high on meth and wouldn't be back asleep by 9. I mean, that's only a couple of hours.
Right. I don't know how long meth highs last, but I feel like it would probably be a while.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like one of them's got to be not telling the truth.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's an interesting case. All right. Well, thanks for sharing. We don't have any questions from the Discord because we only had one and we answered it in the last episode.
Yep. All right. So that's it, y'all.
Now that we've been recording for about 3.5 hours.
Oh, time for bed.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next week.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard and want to support a small podcast, please give us money at
www.patreon.com/weekly dose of wicked, where you can join one of our 3 tiers. At the $5 level, we've got the moderately wicked. For $7 a month, we've got the awesomely wicked. And for all of those high rollers, big ballers out there, we got the $10 level, the extraordinarily wicked. As a member of Patreon, you are entitled to bonus episodes. You also get a one-time shout out on our podcast, as well as some other cool little extra things going on there. So come on over, join our fan club.
Feel free to give us a follow on Instagram at
weekly_dose_of_wicked, or you can literally just search Weekly Dose of Wicked and we'll pop up because we're the only ones.
For a direct feed of our podcast, please go to
www.weeklydoseofwicked.buzzsprout.com.
Great news! You can now listen to us pretty much wherever you like to listen to podcasts.
That's right, folks. We are big time. You can now hear your Weekly Dose of Wicked on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Plus Alexa, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Pocket Cast, Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Podcast Index, Overcast, Castro, Castbox, and Podfriend. The only place we can't seem to get ourselves on is Pandora. So we'll let you know when that happens.
In the meantime, make sure to come back next Wednesday for your
Weekly Dose of Wicked. But